Sincere brotherhood goes beyond the limits of this worldly life. How is that? Stay tuned. All praise is due to Allah. We praise Him, we seek His aid, and we ask for His forgiveness. We seek refuge in Allah from the evils of ourselves and the evils of our actions. Whomsoever Allah guides, none can misguide. And whomsoever Allah leaves to go astray, none can guide. And I bear witness that none has the right to be worshipped except Allah alone, who has no partners. And I bear witness that Muhammad is His servant and His messenger. Dear viewers, I greet you with the greeting of Al-Islam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to a new episode of your show, For the Sake of Allah. I'm your host, Moutasem Al-Hameedi. We have the guests with us, Brother Muhammad and Brother Abdul Rahman. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It has become clear to us how brotherhood is important in Islam, and that we can find in the Quran and the Sunnah plenty of rulings and regulations with regards to maintaining brotherhood and making it better, because it is one of the foundations of the Muslim society. Actually, it's the main foundation, or one of the main foundations, to build a peaceful society that lives in harmony and peace and integrity. Now, we can see from our lives, our observations, through, that the people, with regards to friendship and brotherhood, they are becoming, as we said, more self-centered, and it doesn't really have this effect on their lives. They care for others, or they are concerned about the tranquility of the others. Life is making us more selfish. We're more self-centered. Everyone is minding his own business. Now, in the past, we know it wasn't the case, and we came across examples from the Prophet ﷺ, his companions, how they dealt with one another, and some of the scholars at our contemporary time. We would like to mention more beautiful examples with regards to the etiquettes of brotherhood, how people, for example, were truthful to one another, how they helped one another, how they were concerned with one another, how they kept the friendship, and it was one of their main concerns. Now, I recall a hadith from the Prophet ﷺ, which mentions a really amazing incident that happened. He said that one day a man asked from his brother some money, to lend him some money, because he was in need. He said, give me some money. So he gave him 1,000 dinars, 1,000 dinars money, and they set a date where this brother should pay it back. So now he took the money, and the man who gave him the money in the first place said to him, I need a witness. I need a witness. So he said, وَكَفَى بِاللَّهِ شَهِيدًا. Allah is enough as a witness. So he accepted that. So he said to him, I need a kafil. Kafil means a co-signer, someone. If you fail to pay off your debt, the kafil will have to pay that on behalf of you. It's sort of what they call in English co-signer. Now he said, I want a kafil. So he said, وَكَفَى بِاللَّهِ كَفِيلًا. Allah is enough as a kafil. So he accepted that. You see how it's enough. And now some people, when you deal with them and you say Wallahi, and you are honest, Wallah, well, this is the case, they don't accept. But if you say by my honor, then okay, they will accept that, they will take it.
Well, some stories in the tabi'een about lending money and things like that. It's like if you ask the brother, what do you need the money for? You consider him not a good brother. Like it was reported, I think, by Ali ibn al-Hussein radiallahu anhuma, that a man asked him, if I go and ask a brother for lending me money, so if he tells me, what do you need it for, do I consider him a brother? He told him, no, they don't.
Yeah, because they had a very high level of brotherhood.
Yeah, it was very high.
So this brother, when this man, he asked his brother for a witness and a kafil, and he said Allah is enough. So he accepted that, and he went. Now each one of them was living on a different side or different bank of the sea, on a different shore. So now when the time came for him to pay off his debt, he went to the sea and he brought the money, and he went to look for a boat so that it could take him to the other side where he could get to that brother and give him his money. Now every day he went, he didn't find any boat. So the time for paying off the debt was imminent. So he didn't find any means to get to him and give him back his money. So he brought a piece of wood and he made a hole in it, and he put the money there, and he wrote a letter. He said to him, you asked me for a kafil, you asked me for a shaheed, and I said Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is enough as a witness and as a kafil, and I couldn't get any boats. I'm waiting for any boat to come, but I can't find any boat. So I'm afraid that the date will come and I won't be able to give you the money on that date. So he put that money and he sealed that piece of wood and he threw it in the sea. And he said, oh Allah, the man asked me for a witness, and I said, وَكَفَى بِاللَّهِ شَهِيدًا, and he accepted. And he asked me for a kafil, and I said, وَكَفَى بِاللَّهِ كَفِيلًا, and he accepted that. So, oh Allah, make this money reach him. Now, the other man on the other side, he knew that the time for receiving his money came, so he went out to see if any boats were coming, and that man was coming on board of one of them. So he was waiting, the man didn't come. So he started getting some wood for his house, for the fire, some firewood. So he found that piece of wood and he took it with him. At home, he started breaking it, so he found the money and he found the letter.
Subhanallah.
He found the letter. Allah, who made it go to him? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But I want you to see that because he gave him a date, he said, I'll pay you the money on that date. He did his best in order to give the money. He was worried, concerned about that. And we said this is one of the rights of brotherhood.
Yes.
That you be truthful to your brother and you keep your word. When you give him a word, you keep your word.
Yes, it is
You
true.
see? Yeah, and this is a beautiful example of brotherhood. So he took the money and he said, Alhamdulillah, I got back my money. Now the other man, he didn't stop at that point, but he kept coming to the sea until he found a boat and he sailed to the man again, and he had another 1,000 dinars. And he said to him, well, you gave me my money and this is your money. Because he thought he didn't get that piece of wood. So he said to him, did you send anything? He said, yes. He said, well, I received that what you sent to me, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it come to me. So jazakallah khairan, keep your money for yourself, and barakallahu feek for your honesty. You see, this is and I can
very
say
good example
Yeah.
for paying back and keeping up the word.
It's really amazing.
Yeah.
It's
And
really
Allah
amazing.
helped him
Yeah.
in this miracle way because he had a pure
Yeah.
intention, mashallah.
Does this remind you of something that happened, for example, maybe with one of your friends? How sometimes, for example, I have friends, if you really lend them money, they will come back on the same date that you agreed upon, and they would give you the money. They would do anything to get you the money. But some people take that money and they don't even show up. And sometimes they see you, but they just forget all about it.
No, it's not usually the case, but maybe they get a little bit behind in the paying back the money, but still they have to. It's an obligation. It's a debt they have to pay. So it's like it looks on their face that they're like maybe they're like having some financial problems. So it shows, and you have to be patient with them also. At the other hand,
Yeah.
because that's how it is.
But sometimes, like it happened to me once, I sold to a brother clothes, and he didn't have that much money, so he didn't like pay the whole price. I didn't mind because he's a brother and we should be patient and want each other. But he gave me a date, and each time the date comes, he gives me another date. So in the end, it was a little bit annoying because he wasn't honest. But there was like a few like the price that he had to pay. The rest of the price was like getting smaller, so I just forgave him. But it was annoying also. So we have to be honest with each other.
Yeah.
We say a date, even if it's far, no problem to wait. But if we give a word, we respect it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we should do that, because as you said, it's one of the rights of brotherhood, and we should observe this, because If somebody lends you money and you don't give it back to him and you don't keep your word, it will cause this split between you. It will really affect the brotherhood because you don't keep your word. That's a big problem, and you will be destroying your credibility with people, and you will start to have a bad reputation in terms of that. Some people are really notorious for in terms of borrowing money. So they are known to all people, don't lend this person money because he doesn't give it back.
Yeah.
That's a very bad reputation, and the Muslim shouldn't be like that.
Not at all.
Yeah, because it's other people's right, and if you don't give them back their money, what is due to them, then they will take that from you on the day of judgment.
It's like stealing.
Yeah, they will take it. They will take it, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take from your hasanat, and He will give to them. And if you run out of hasanat, He will take from their sins and put them on you. So it's a serious issue.
Isn't it the case in Hajj? You can't go to Hajj if you have a debt. It's like, isn't that the
Well,
case?
it is basic. Well, the scholars, they have different regulations with regards to Hajj. If you want to
Okay.
go to Hajj, if you have debts, if you have some kind of arrangement, the scholars say you can go. If they say you have to seek the permission of the one who lent you the money in the first place.
I
If
see.
he says no problem, there's no problem. There are certain regulations or rulings with regards to that. We don't want to go out of our subject.
Okay.
But you know, the Prophet ﷺ said in a
Sallallahu
hadith that anyone who takes the money of the people, who borrows money from people with the intention of not giving it back, then he will come to Allah on the day of resurrection as a thief. As a thief. He will be considered, because you take people's money and you don't want to pay it back. That's a serious issue. Now, let's move to another side or another subject with regards to brotherhood. Another example as well is that one day one of the scholars at the time of Shafi'i, he said how good a Shafi'i is, how good the character of a Shafi'i is. He said, I disagreed with him on a matter, on an issue. We didn't really agree on one ruling because, you know, scholars, they have differences sometimes. So after we disagreed on that, he came to me and he took my hand and he walked me and he said to me, well, we disagreed upon this issue, but can't we be brothers? Can we still be good brothers to one another? So it is an important thing, you see, and very good morality. I mean, you disagree with people, and this is something we want to learn from, because people today disagree and this causes them enmity. Okay, I follow this ruling because I'm convinced with the opinion of this scholar, because I see that it is in accordance with the proofs. And another one sees a different opinion, and he has, the skills and the knowledge to do that. So it doesn't mean that you have to, have some kind of enmity or disagreement. Well, you disagree, alhamdulillah. If this kind of disagreement is accepted according to the scholars of Islam, it doesn't contradict the Quran and the Sunnah, then this should not break the brotherhood that we have, because we are all upon this path, inshallah, leading to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And one of the main things that we need, one of the necessary components of our daily life, our way of life as Muslims, is that maintaining this brotherhood and looking after it and nurturing it, basically.
It's like we take these examples from the early generations, like what happened during the Maliki time when some of the Shafi'i students went to pray behind the Maliki.
Can you keep this story, because I would like to discuss it. It seems to be something that we need to elaborate more on, but we'll stop for a few minutes and I'll come back, keep your story. Inshallah, we'll discuss it after we have a short break. I say to our viewers, stay with us, we're coming back shortly, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back. So, Muhammad, you had a story to tell us.
Yes, it was
Yeah.
about the students of the two scholars, Shafi'i and Al-Maliki.
Mm.
We know that one group says out loud in prayer, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, when they start reading Al-Fatiha and during prayer.
Mm.
And other group doesn't say it out loud. They keep it in secret and then they complete Al-Fatiha. So one group prayed behind the other imam, which didn't say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim out loud.
Mhm.
And nothing happened. They
Yeah.
accepted it because they respect one another's mythology in fiqh, alhamdulillah. And also, as you mentioned before, the difference between Imam bin Baz, Sheikh bin Baz, and Sheikh Al-Albani. And when they stand up from ruku', one of them puts his hand like this, and the other keeps it on his side.
Mhm.
So it's still this differences are accepted between brothers,
Yeah.
as long as it's away from the differences in aqidah, for example, alhamdulillah.
Yeah, that's
So,
it.
so
So yeah, this kind of difference, as we said, if it's accepted in the Quran, the Sunnah, and by the scholars of Ahlul Sunnah, then we say it shouldn't affect the brotherhood. We
Yeah.
should still maintain this brotherhood. And we see sometimes some brothers, because they hold on to one opinion and they consider anyone who opposes them in that opinion or doesn't agree with them, then he is just, they cut him off. They don't speak to him, and they perform hajr. Hajr is to cut that person off. Well, hajr, what the Prophet ﷺ and the companions did with Ka'b ibn Malik when he remained behind during the Ghazwa of Tabuk. And I mean, hajr has many regulations, many etiquettes and conditions. But these people, especially those who act that way, and they start cutting off brothers because they disagree with them on one issue, and they make a big thing out of it. These people, they hardly know anything about the etiquettes and the rulings that pertain to al-hajr, or cutting off a brother for some reason, and they cause fitna and they split the brothers and they cause a lot of enmity. So, which really weakens the Muslims.
Yes,
It weakens
true.
the
Yes,
Muslims.
it's
You
true.
can see the Muslims now are busy fighting one another and criticizing one another. Well, if this difference is in terms of aqidah, then we have to clarify this, because it's the truth.
Yeah.
It's about defending the religion. But as I said, if it's a difference of opinion and it can be tolerated in the Quran and the Sunnah and by the scholars of Ahlul Sunnah, then we should be tolerant with that, and we should accept our brothers and keep this brotherhood, because brotherhood is part of our religion, so we should look after it as well.
Yes.
It's
True.
one of the, it's an important part of our religion, as I said, of our conduct, our character. So it's a very important part of our lives to keep and maintain this brotherhood as part of our religion. So we should observe this, inshallah, and benefit from these beautiful examples. You know, one beautiful example that I can recall from the time of the Prophet ﷺ, a man came from the companions, and he was very poor, and he hadn't had food for a few days. He came to the Messenger ﷺ and he said to him, "O Messenger of Allah, I'm poor and I have no food and I haven't eaten." So the Messenger ﷺ asked his wives, "Do you have any food?" And I want you to, contemplate this point. The Prophet ﷺ asked his wife, "Do you have any food?" They said, all of them, they said, "We only have water." Imagine the house of the Messenger ﷺ. We only have water. We have no food, nothing to eat. It's only water that we have. So the Prophet ﷺ said to the companions, "Who can take this guest and who can entertain him? And be generous to him." So one of the companions said, "I'll do that, O Messenger of Allah." So he took him to his house. He asked his wife, "Do we have any food?" She said, "We only have food for our children. We don't even have food for ourselves, but we have some food for our children." So he said to his wives, "Look at this brother," because they understood the meaning of brotherhood, and that it is a valuable thing in Islam. That when you help your brother, you can imagine the reward you have, because they had love for one another. They cared for one another, because they know that if we achieve this love, we will have the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we will be in the shade of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah will cause us to enter paradise. When we achieve this love, we will have more iman in our hearts. So he said to his wife, "Try to make your children sleep. Tell them a story, or just keep them busy away from food and make them sleep." And she made them sleep. Then he brought the food, And he sat down with the guest, and he said to her, turn off the light. There was no light, so that the guest could think that they are eating with him. He pretended that he was eating with his guest, but he wasn't. And he kept the food for his guests. You see, this is one of the highest. It's one of the highest levels of brotherhood, which is to give him precedence over yourself. Al-ithar.
Yes.
This is one of the highest levels of brotherhood. Although you need the food, you had no food for yourself, no food for your wife, and you had the food for your children, but you kept it for your guest. Imagine if the Muslims behaved this way towards one another today, instead of looking down upon others and mistreating others or abusing others. You see?
Yeah.
This is why they were the best generation and the best nation ever brought forth for mankind.
That reminds me also of the story of Aisha radiallahu anha, because we always give examples about companions, the male ones. So we should be aware that sisters are watching this. So when the door of Aisha radiallahu anha was knocked, and she was asked for food, and there was like nothing there but very little food that was she was going to break her fast with. And then she was asked, there is no other food that you're going to break your fast with. So she just automatically just gave the food away to the asker, and stayed home. And Maghrib time came, and there was like another sheep coming at her door, a whole sheep. So she gave away quite a small amount of food, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala returned a whole amount of
Subhanallah.
yeah.
You know, it's good that you mentioned this example, because Aisha herself, may Allah be pleased with her, one day some money came to her from her nephew. That was a lot of money, quite a lot of money, big amount of money. So she called her one of her friends, one of her close friends, was called, I can't remember her name, but maybe Mustah, another sister, one of her sisters in Islam. So she started splitting the money and giving people, as they say, left and right, giving people everywhere. Send this to that house, send this amount of money to that house. And when she was fasting on that day, when Maghrib time came, now all the money was given to people. She had nothing left, literally nothing left. So she said to her maid, bring us some food so I can break my fast. So she brought her some olive oil and some bread. That was the only thing she had. So her friend said to her, you should have kept some money for yourself to break your fast with. Just buy some meat and maybe, break your fast with that. She said, well, don't be harsh with me, don't be harsh with me. If you had told me, I would have done that. But alhamdulillah, she gave the money out. You see, these people, they didn't pay attention. They weren't after money, they weren't after wealth, because it came to them. But imagine if that amount of money came to any one of us, we would start thinking, I would buy this, I would buy that, and how to spend that money.
Yes.
But imagine what that was the reaction, straight away, the natural reaction, just give the money to the poor people, start splitting it. So they really achieved, and they realized what Al-Quran is and what the Sunnah of the Messenger ﷺ is in behavior and reality. That was turned into a reality, not only in words, because actions speak louder than words.
Yeah.
So this is why these are beautiful examples that we can.
I remember a brother. He always says, "If I'm in need of money, I give out money, and then Allah rewards me back with more money."
Yeah.
So
this is trust in Allah.
yeah,
it is out of love that you give to the people, you give to your fellow Muslims.
Yes.
Abdurrahman, have you seen any examples maybe in our contemporary times? Sometimes still you have good people and they really give out of their money, of their wealth, even though sometimes they need. Can you recall any example of a brother? Maybe it's a little thing that you give, maybe just one date, maybe a loaf of bread, that's it. If this is the only thing you have, this is a precious thing. Can you recall something, examples of brothers or sisters who were really, in any form of brotherhood? Maybe tolerance, forgiveness, giving from themselves for the people.
Alhamdulillah, I recall once me and and some of my brothers, we were invited at this brother's house, and he didn't have that much food. Like the food he had was maybe enough for us, not for him. So he made us eat, and he told us that he ate, even though he didn't eat. And I knew that from him later on. So mashallah, that was a really good act
Yeah.
to how to treat the guests in that way, and he didn't tell us also so that we don't feel bad. We don't be like, no, you have to eat. No,
Yeah.
he was like, alhamdulillah, I just ate.
Yeah.
You just eat, mashallah.
So that's like the story you have told us about before we have a break about the Sahabi who had other Sahabi in his house and
Yeah.
he turned out alive.
Yeah.
So
So we can still achieve this level, inshallah.
Inshallah.
If we are sincere to Allah, we can still achieve that. And we can realize it, really. So we shouldn't belittle ourselves. We can achieve something. And if we abide by the Quran and the Sunnah and follow the example of our Prophet ﷺ and his companions, we can give good examples to the rest of the people. So sometimes we complain about the state of the Muslims and, oh, the Muslims, you know, they don't really realize what brotherhood is. They don't appreciate their religion. So we can actually do that through our example. We should give da'wah to other people by through example, through our behavior. So we show them and we make it clear to everyone that this is the Muslim character, and we can teach the rest of the world about Islam through that. Because when you know how Islam spread, we know how it spread in Southeast Asia.
yes.
Well, it spread through traders or businessmen. They went and made business when they saw the honesty and the truthfulness and the good Islamic manners. They came into Islam. No army reached these lands. Indonesia, Malaysia, no Muslim army reached these lands.
Yeah.
So it's all through our example.
It reached the minds and the
Yeah.
hearts.
So
That's
inshallah
how
we
Islam-
will
Yeah.
try to be good examples like the people who came before us and demonstrate to the people, make it clear to them what Islam really is. What it is. Jazakumullah khairan for your contributions.
Yeah.
And I say to our viewers, Jazakumullah khairan for being with us. May Allah bless us all and make us benefit from these stories, and inshallah we will take this example or these examples and implement them in our daily life so that we become a good and honorable representation of Al-Islam. Jazakumullah khairan. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.